Hello everyone and welcome to this advanced combat tutorial part 2 with my friend Dalembolic S-Man, of course. He researched some good stuff. In this second advanced combat tutorial we are learning about the tactics and moves that you can combine to trick your opponent, as well as the options you have after a parry. Now let's start with our first lesson, tactics to trick your opponent. First we talk about the false turn. It can be performed from the left or the right side. To do a fake turn you either make a left or a right swing. Turn in the direction of the swing for around 90 degrees and turn back to hit your opponent. You don't have to turn back completely, because your sword is a moving object and it will hit your opponent, even if you can barely see him, so that he has less time to react. Here you can see the move from the first person perspective. This move can be done randomly or as an option after a parry. But now to the fake overhead. If you turn in the right angle for 120 degrees, the right swing looks a bit like an overhead in the heat of the battle. With small characters this is easier to recognize. In this screenshot I exactly turned 120 degrees. If you turn too much you can clearly see that this is a right attack, so don't turn too much. Keep in mind that this is the best option if your opponent have low HP and start playing more defensive, because the opponent has to stand in front of you. Otherwise the perspective changes when he moves, so he can see you from a different angle. Now to the 90-degree overhead. To perform this attack you have to look on the ground and turn 90 degrees, while permanently looking on the floor during the charge of the overhead. After the charge is finished, turn back to your opponent and release the attack. If you charge the overhead while looking on the floor, it will look like a right attack. Now we will show you this attack from the first person perspective. This attack can be done randomly or as an option after a parry. After a parry, this can be done much faster. Repeat this move 2 or 3 times, then your opponent will think that you will make an overhead. After you look on the ground and turn 90 degrees, but this time you can trick your opponent with the left attack. You can also do a 90-degree right swing, but I find the 90-degree left swing is better. Try to mix up the attacks as good as possible to confuse your opponent. Now we show you the 90 degrees left attack out of the first person perspective. Try to hit the feet, especially when your opponent is using a shield. Now we learn you the parry instant turnaround technique. This can be used after a parry if your opponent stands right or left from your perspective. In this video I'm standing on the left side out of General Butt Naked's perspective. You always have to turn in the opposite direction on which your opponent is standing. In this case General Butt Naked have to turn right while looking on the ground. Keep in mind that you not have to make a full turn. You can hit your opponent even if you only see his legs, because your sword is a moving object. This makes the move much faster and gives the opponent less time to react. If your opponent stands on the right side, you have to turn left. Now we will teach you the move from the first person perspective. In this screenshots you can clearly see what I mean, that you don't have to get full vision on your opponent for the sword to hit him. This gives him less time to react. Now to the combos. Don't forget to convert your hits into a combo. If you successfully hit your opponent as shown in the following clips, you can combo as long as you hit your opponent, till your opponent will parry one of your attacks. Then it will be his turn and you should try to parry him. Keep in mind that the combo attacks have to be charged at least for 1 second to do the maximum damage. This time we will teach you some feint techniques. But don't use them after a parry, because you would waste your counter parry if you cancel an attack. We begin now with the 90-degree overhead to right swing. To perform this you have to look in the air. Turn in 90 degrees and charge an overhead while looking in the air. Cancel the attack with the feint button, which I highly recommend to bind it to E. And convert the overhead into a right swing while continuing to turn 120 degrees before turning back and releasing the swing at the same time. Try to move your mouse with the swing and hit the legs of your opponent. You can convert the 90-degree overhead into a left swing as well. And again, try to hit the legs of your opponent. The conversion into a left swing is very good against shield users, because they hold their shield in their right hand. Mix this up with 90 degrees swing into an overhead feint to mix up your attacks to confuse the enemy. Keep in mind that you need to stop moving while turning around while doing these conversions, till you cancel the attack and press shift for sprinting again during the conversion into the other swing, if the opponent is further away. Let's move on to spear fight. First of all, I would like to show you the animation of the various attacks with the spear. The animation of the forearm is the same for the right swing as for the thrust attack. You can only tell from the rear arm whether a spear user is performing a right attack or a thrust attack. During the right attack, the rear arm protrudes further from the body than during the middle attack. To hide the rear arm, a spear user has to turn around 20 degrees while looking into the air while charging a thrust attack. Release the swing before turning and try to hit your opponent. To hide the rear arm during the attack, the player have to turn his character around 30 degrees while looking in the air while he's charging the right attack. Release the attack before you're turning and drag the spear into the face of your opponent. Keep in mind that you need to keep distance because you will get a handle hit if you stand too close to your opponent. When fighting a warrior with a spear, his opponent must try to run or strafe to the left to get vision on his rear arm, or run close to him so that the spear user will hit him with his handle. Now some basic tricks to keep distance and to get higher reach with your attacks. To make this, you can perform jumps and jump attacks. The Alvarine race have a higher movement speed and can jump higher as the other races, and will often run away and return to their opponent after the enemy have parried one of their attacks. When playing against Alvarines, you shouldn't use your parry counter hit immediately. A parry counter can be used up to 2.5 seconds after a parry. Save it until the player comes back. To get further range with your attacks, you can use a jump attack after you release an overhead. You have to sprint while jumping. According to a statement in the forums, Star Wars is even considering to add a dodge later on. Please keep in mind that the 101 fights differ from group fights. In group fights, you shouldn't spin around too randomly, as General Butt Naked tend to do all the time. In group fights, it's important to keep an eye on the opponent, as you often have to parry several players one after the other. Spinning around will confuse you too much, and the chances are high that you end up in friendly fire. Like my fight in the PvP event where I was totally lost and confused. Link is in the description, by the way. I really hope that the video helped you and taught you some useful things. Special thanks to the Anabolic S-Man, I mean the General Butt Naked. Please give him the credits for this video. I mean, he's a really great teacher. Only because of him I won the last PvP tournament. Link is in the description, by the way. So I'm officially the first champion of Knave. Anyway, please hit the bell that you don't miss any future videos. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Please leave feedback and suggestions in the comments. And always remember to party hard. Bye.